Okay, so today we're going to be moving on with our angles, and we're going to talk about complementary and supplementary angles. So for two angles to be complementary, when you add them up, when you add them up, they are going to be equal to 90 degrees. So right here we have a 30-degree angle and a 60-degree angle. And we know that these are complementary because when you put them together, when you combine them, when you add them up, they equal 90 degrees. So complementary angles are when you add them up, they equal 90 degrees. Supplementary angles are when the sum equals 180 degrees. So in this case, we have a 135 and 45 degree angle. When you combine them, when you add them together, they equal 180 degrees. Okay? So two things I do want to review from yesterday. All of these angles, this angle shown right here, this is an adjacent angle. I'm just going to put this right here, and you guys might want to write this on your paper just so you can get a little reminder from what we learned yesterday. And I spelled that wrong. Adjacent. This is an adjacent angle. The way that I can tell that this is adjacent is because these two lines, these two angles, they share one common side or one common line right here. So they share that common line, and they are directly next to each other. The other thing that we talked about yesterday were vertical angles. Vertical angles are exactly opposite of each other. So for instance, if I drew two intersecting lines, I have two sets of vertical angles here because they are the ones that are directly across from each other. So I have one right here, and then I have another set of vertical angles, right here. And these lines, these little arcs I'm drawing right here are just saying that these are congruent, so they're equal. Vertical angles are always equal to each other, whereas adjacent are not. And if you guys notice on these two adjacent angles I talked about, if you notice they're on one line, hopefully you guys remember this from last year. If you don't, you might want to write this on your paper. But a line equals 180 degrees. So that means, for instance, if we knew that this obtuse angle right here was like right here it says it's 135. If they didn't give us the second angle, if they told us that this was x, we would be able to solve for that by subtracting 180 because we know that together they have to equal 180 because together they make a line. So we have 180 minus 135, and that would get us to our 45-degree angle. So that's just a little review about introduction to angles that we talked about yesterday. So adjacent angle versus vertical angles. So let's move on with some practice about complementary and supplementary. So remember, complementary, when you add them together, they equal 90 degrees, and supplementary, when you add them together, they equal 180. So example 1 says, tell whether the angles are complementary, supplementary, or neither. So number 1, we have 70 and 110. I'm just gonna do some mental math here, and I know that that's 180 degrees, so 180, so I can say that this is supplementary. You can also stack them up and add them if you can't do the mental math, which is fine. Okay, second one, we have 49 degrees and 41 degrees. So if we stack those up and added them, we would get 90 degrees, so that is complementary. And finally, we have 128 and 62. Now, right off the bat, if you guys can see this, these two rays right here, if you can see, this is kind of tilted up a little bit, so it's not making a perfect straight line. If I were to draw a perfect straight line, it would be somewhat right there. And remember, we know that a straight line equals 180 degrees. So already you can tell that this is going to be more than 180, so it's going to be neither. It's not supplementary. So that's just a way that you can simply look at it. If you were also to stack them up or just add them in your head, you would get 190, which is bigger than 180, so it cannot be supplementary. So that one is neither.